We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
And welcome everyone. In this lecture I will discuss about measurement of vacuum. So let us start. So first, what is vacuum? Vacuum is a pressure below atmosphere, is vacuum, or which is also called as low pressure. Vacuum is represented by torr or mm of mercury. This is the unit for it. If the pressure is less than 1 torr, it may be considered as very low pressure, and if the pressure is less than 10⁻⁹ torr, it refers to as ultra vacuum or ultra low pressure. There are 2 basic methods of measurement of low pressure or vacuum. First one is direct method. In direct measurement, the displacement is measured, which is caused by action of applied force. The displacement is corrected to applied pressure. The following devices included in this category, such as manometer and bellows gauge, Bourdon tube, then diaphragm gauge. These devices are limited to lowest pressure value of about 10 torr, while second type is indirect measurement. In this method, low pressure is determined through measurement of certain other properties which depends upon pressure to be measured, such as the thermal conductivity and volume are pressure dependent properties. For that, following devices can be used, such as McLeod gauge, thermal conductivity or thermocouple vacuum gauge, ionization gauge, Pirani vacuum or resistance thermometer gauge, and Bunsen gauge. First, let us discuss about the McLeod gauge. So here, the basic working principle of McLeod gauge is of Boyle's law. As we know that Boyle's law, the P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. That is Boyle's law. Temperature is constant, pressure is inversely proportional to volume. So in McLeod gauge, non-volume V1 of gas sample at unknown pressure P1 is to be measured, is trapped and then isothermally compressed to P2 V2 by means of rising mercury column. This amplifies unknown pressure P1 to P2, and P2 is measured by manometric means, which means P1 is equal to P2 into V2 divided by V1. So we can measure the unknown gas pressure. The construction of McLeod gauge is shown in figure. The unknown pressure source P1 to be measured is connected to the gauge at point P, and mercury level is, this is the mercury field is over here, is lowered when piston moved up so that admitting gas into bulb B. Here when the piston is at top position, mercury will be at this level and this bulb will be filled with the gas. And capillary C, here this is the capillary C of cross section A at unknown pressure P1 when mercury level is at cutoff level point A. Then non-standard volume of gas V1 is trapped in the bulb B and the capillary C. When the piston is pushed in, which means it's moved down, over here in this we can see the piston moved to downward direction. The mercury level rises, mercury level from here to here, and sealing of a gas sample of non-volume V1 in bulb B and capillary C. Further downward motion of the piston causes the isothermal compression of this sample gas, and motion of piston is continued until the mercury level in capillary B is at reference point as shown in figure over here. When it reaches the reference point over here, the volume of compressed gas in this capillary C is read directly by this scale. So V2 is equal to, this, the V2 is equal to area of this capillary and height, what we measured by that will be the final volume of gas. H is the height of gas in capillary C after compression. A is the area of cross section of capillary. Now applying the manometric rule for left and, this is the left and right theme, the pressure in capillary C at XX and pressure in capillary B at XX will be same. So P2 is equal to P1 plus H. So here if we put the value in this, we will get P1 is equal to P, here the P2 is equal to P1 plus H, and P1 is equal to, given by this equation, because we know P1 is equal to P2 into V2 by V1, and we know that the P2 is equal to P1 plus H, because capillary in C at XX and capillary B at XX will be equal. So we put the value of this in this equation over here, and V2 is equal to A into H, this area of capillary and height. So A into H, so we will get this equation. We put the P2 in this equation, so P1 plus H. So we will, by solving this equation, we will get this, and taking common P1 from both, we can get the P1. Now for the initial volume, we have seen from the figure that this is the volume V1. Volume V1 is the total volume, this and this. So in comparison to that, this volume over here is very small, so we can neglect that portion. So ultimately we will get the pressure P1, and which is unknown. The McLeod gauge is very accurate for low pressure measurement and often serves as standard for calibrating other low pressure gauges. The working range of McLeod pressure gauge ranges from here. The working range is from 0.00001 to 1 torr. This is the working range, and it can be designed to measure as low as 0.4 times 0.5 torr. The advantages of McLeod gauge: pressure to be measured is determined in terms of physical dimension of gauge, and it makes gauge suitable for calibrating other low pressure gauges. Pressure is independent of gas composition and can measure this wide range of pressure. Disadvantage: if measured gas contains any vapors that are condensed by compression process, then the pressure will be in torr, will be in error, and it cannot give a continuous output reading, while it is not suitable on system where mercury cannot be tolerated. So this is the McLeod gauge. Next is thermal conductivity gauges. After McLeod gauge, there are thermal conductivity gauges. At low pressure, the thermal conductivity of a gas, ability of gas to conduct heat, has a direct relation to pressure. The relation between change in thermal conductivity and change in pressure works over a pressure range of 10⁻⁴ to 10⁻² torr. So this principle is used in thermal conductivity gauges to measure pressure of gas. There are basically two types of gauges most commonly used. First one is thermocouple vacuum gauge, and second one is Pirani vacuum gauge or resistance thermometer. First, the thermocouple vacuum gauge. Here at low pressure, the pressure of gas is function of thermal conductivity of gas. The thermal conductivity of gas decreases with decrease in pressure. So the temperature of an electrically heated filament element depend upon first heat released from the filament, and second magnitude of current flowing through filament. If the current is kept constant, then temperature is governed by heat loss. Heat loss depends on thermal conductivity of gas. So at the lower gas pressure or lower density, the lower thermal conductivity and lower heat loss and higher filament temperature at constant current supply. Thus it is observed that the temperature of filament is directly dependent upon pressure of gas, which means that the temperature is inversely proportional to heat loss. So heat loss is directly proportional to thermal conductivity. So thermal conductivity is directly proportional to gas pressure. So gas pressure is proportional to the heat loss, and gas pressure is inversely proportional to the temperature. So ultimately we can write that the gas pressure is inversely proportional to temperature. So based on this principle, the thermocouple vacuum gauge works. A thermocouple vacuum gauge consists of a filament or heater element heated at a temperature of 500 degrees centigrade 50 degrees centigrade to this heating element is heated to 50 degrees centigrade to 400 degree centigrade by non-constant current, and thermocouple in contact with its center over here. Now the heater element or heating element and thermocouple are enclosed in metal or glass envelope, which is sealed into vacuum system whose pressure is to be measured. Now the heater element is supplied with a constant current or energy, and its temperature, which is function of heat loss and hence thermal conductivity or pressure of gas, is measured using thermocouple. The working range of thermocouple vacuum gauge is between 10⁻⁴ to 1 torr. There are various advantages of this. Its construction is rushed and inexpensive, provides continuous and convenient reading, possibility of remote reading from system, and hence it can be used in process control. No departure from linearity in the range of 0.02 to 1 mm of Hg. There are various disadvantages, such as it requires electrical power, then narrow reading range, and need for individual and frequent calibration for different gases. Second type is Pirani vacuum gauge. Here the operating principle of this gauge is same as thermocouple vacuum gauge, as the temperature of heater element is function of pressure of gas, but in this gauge the temperature of heater element is determined by measuring the change of resistance. Therefore, in Pirani vacuum gauge, also known as resistance thermometer gauge. Thermometer gauge. Here in Pirani, and it can the range of this is 10 raised to minus 5 to 1 torr. Construction and working. Now in Pirani vacuum gauge consists of a single platinum resistance filament or heating element and Wheatstone bridge circuit for measuring resistance change of filament. As gas pressure changes, the filament temperature over here will change, and therefore its resistance also changes. So the resistance change is measured by using this Wheatstone bridge circuit. Which is calibrated in terms of vacuum pressure. The advantage of this system is it is much more accurate than thermocouple vacuum gauge, and it gives very fast response again pressure change, and it has wider pressure range and possibility of remote reading from system, and hence it can be used in process control. And disadvantage is that its operation requires electric power and it needs individual and frequency calibration for different gases. Next type is ionization gauge. For the measurement of extremely low pressure of 0.000001 micron, an ionized gauge is used. The maximum pressure for which an ionized gauge may be used is about 1 micron, which means 10 raised to minus 3 mm of Hg. Ionization is the process of removing an electron from an atom, producing a free electron and positively charged ion. Ionization may be produced by collision of high speed electron from the atom. The ionization of gas molecules creates an electric current, and the current increases in proportion to number of ions arriving in given period of time. The number of ion increases in proportion to the density of gas inside the chamber to be measured. So as we know that according to Boyle's law, P by rho is equal to constant, where rho is the density of gas and P is the pressure. So according to Boyle's law, pressure is proportional to density. So as gas pressure changes, the density changes and the rate of ionization. The rate of ionization is measured in terms of current by electric circuit, which is calibrated in terms of vacuum pressure. The ionization gauge consists of an envelope which is evacuated by pressure to be measure and consists of a heated filament, which is cathode, and grid or plate of electronic collector, which is anode. Now the heated filament produces a stream of electrons. These electrons are attracted towards the positively charged grid, causing I2 flow in external circuit. Any positively charged ion produced due to collision of electron with the gas molecule are attracted toward the negative charged plate and causing current I1 for external circuit. The rate of ionization is proportional to the number of electrons and available to ionize the gas and the amount of gas, which means the density and hence pressure. So therefore the ratio of positive ion, which means the anode current I1 to negative ion electron grid I2, is measure of gas pressure. So the various advantages of this is fast response against pressure change, wide pressure range, can be used for process control and remote indication, and hence constant sensitivity. The disadvantage: complex circuit, filament burns out if exposed to air white hot. The decomposition of some gases occurs due to hot filament, and contamination of measured gas by gas force out of hot filament. And the last vacuum gauge is Knudsen gauge. Knudsen gauge gives absolute measurement of pressure. The pressure is independent of molecular weight of gas. Here the working range of this pressure gauge is between 10⁻⁻8 to 10⁻⁻2 torr. It may be used as calibration device for other pressure gauge in this range. The Knudsen gauge consists of two vanes V along with mirror M and heated plate P. The vane V with mirror are mounted on thin filament suspension over here. The heated plate P puts near the vane. The clearance between vane V and P is less than the mean free path of gas which pressure is to be measured. The plate P is heated by heater and maintained at temperature T. The vane V are at the temperature of gas Tg. Now the molecule strikes the vane from hot plate have higher velocity than those leaving the vanes because of the difference in temperature. Hence there is net momentum imparted to vane, which may be measured by observing the angularity displacement of mirror. The total momentum exchange with the vane is a function of molecular density, because which in turns is related in terms of pressure of gas. So here the pressure of gas is given by equation P is equal to Kf into gas pressure or Tg by Vane or plate pressure, plate temperature minus Vane temperature. Now the P is the pressure at gas, K is the constant, while Tg is the gas temperature and T is the plate temperature. Now F is the momentum of Vane. So based on that we can find the pressure. So this is the end of topic. Thank you very much for watching.